And welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known throughout the United States for the last 30 years, can you believe it, as the Money Lady. And again, as you, my very faithful viewers, know me well, my commitment has been lengthy and long-standing to bring you information, people, trends that empower you and your family to live long and productive lives. I'm focusing moving forward as we are approaching a new year on the issue of health and wellness. And I have to. And the reason I have to is because the Money Lady does not like you sick. Because if you're sick, all the information on money and resources and accumulating wealth, it's wasteful. Why is it wasteful? Because you cannot have money and enjoy a quality of life if you're sick and if you're dealing with issues of your health and your wellness. It's just a fact of life. I wish I could play it differently, but therefore I'm focusing as a part of the show on the health issue. And I encourage you to sit down and listen, because Americans are some of the most unhealthy, sick, overweight, achy, pain-driven people on the face of the earth. We've got all this money and we're paying it out to doctors, we're paying it out to lawyers to sue doctors and hospitals, and we're making the mortuary industry rich. And that should not be. So again, in line with my commitment to empower you, I have another remarkable guest on for the next hour who is going to be talking about the issue of bed bugs and mosquitoes. Exactly. And we're going to be talking about the Zika virus as well, because that's not going away. I mean, any biologist will tell you that those mosquitoes from Brazil are busily making love to these female mosquitoes in the U.S., and you already know what's getting ready to happen. You're going to have interracial mosquitoes carrying that virus. So again, without further ado, I want to bring on my next guest, Anthony Watson, who is CEO of ACE Health Services, and he's going to be sharing with me insights and observations about the epidemic in bed bugs, as well as the Zika and other creepy things. Anthony, so delighted you could be a part of my world and my viewers' world today.
Well, thank you for having me, Michelle, that I can come and talk about these wonderful eco-friendly products.
I'm delighted to hear that. Before talking about your solution to the problem, let's talk about the problem. Right. Because I am telling you, I remember my mother telling me years ago about growing up in a rural community in Kentucky, and I'm from Kentucky myself, and having a problem with bed bugs and beating the mattresses, and you know, then the song about don't let the bed bugs bite, and I never knew what they were talking about. But more in tune with where we are today, where did this come from?
They are an issue. They are an issue, and they're creepy, and it is
Where
a problem.
Where did they come from?
Well, the problem actually has been with us for about 30,000 years.
30,000 years?
It's been with us for about 30,000 years. So let me go back.
Okay, I'm listening.
When man was a hunter-gatherer, many thousands of years ago, as I said, 30,000 years ago, the bedbug actually had wings. And
that thing flew?
Absolutely. If you were to look at a bedbug under a microscope, or even with your naked eye, if you choose to get that close to one, which I do all the time because that's my business, they have wing pads that are inoperable, basically. But they stopped using wings as a result of the fact that man became more agricultural, and with the invention of agriculture, civilizations such as the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire came out of that, and so man became just stopped hunting and gathering, and so bed bugs developed. They lost their ability to fly because why? It was took them less energy to just burrow into man's furnishing, including their skin. Men were probably, or people were probably using fur from animals. That allowed them to be able to hunt man easier or live off of, that was their main diet. And
now,
so
what is it? Don't want to lose that thought. What is their diet?
Their diet is us. Their diet is us. It is the only exoskeleton type beetle that focuses on man. We talk about roaches.
Right.
Roaches don't eat man, they eat debris. Bed bugs prey on us.
We are their dinner.
They hunt us. They hunt us. They hide within our furnishings, our clothes, and they wait for us to fall asleep or be in an unsuspecting way, and they come out and they feed on us. The only creature that does that. We're one of the few exoskeleton, not creatures, but one of the few exoskeleton type beetles that do that. Now, going forward, we talked about the bed, don't let the bed bugs bite, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that little nursery rhyme.
Absolutely. Well, it's true. Bed bugs were prevalent in the United States in the 1930s, 40s. But there was a pesticide that was utilized mainly in farming. It was called DDT. And DDT was outlawed probably about 50 or 60 years ago. Why? Because it was known, or it was tested, and they found that it was a carcinogenic.
Cause cancer.
Absolutely. And so that was abolished in the United States. And because of that, bed bugs were all but eradicated because of that.
Okay.
But when that was basically taken off of the EPA's list for products that we can use in the United States, we got a resurgence of bed bugs that we see today. And so that's where we're at.
So we thought we were doing well, which I agree, DDT was major in terms of crops.
Absolutely.
But one of the I guess one of the negatives was these beetles resurged.
Absolutely. There were always just a cause and effect of anything that we do in life, and that was one of the causes. That was one of the effects of not being able to use this particular type of pesticide.
Okay,
So,
understand.
Absolutely. So that's
So
where we're at today.
they resurrected. So they didn't come from another country, because we hear that often, which is that with the number of people immigrating into the United States and resettling and furniture being imported from other countries. I know you've heard it.
Yes.
And the bed bugs were in the furniture that was brought in the U.S., and that's why you got bed bugs. But none of that's true. That's all folklore.
No, absolutely. Actually, the world is becoming much smaller,
Okay.
as we know. People are traveling like they never have
that's true.
in history. And so as a result of that, you have this creature which, as I said, hunts man. And it does it in a very sportsmanlike way, I guess. It jumps in our bags and our clothing when we're traveling, going to hotels. As you know, hotels are all over the world. And so they travel with us. And just so you know, for instance, in England, they have bed bugs are about 80 to 90%. In terms of how often people have them compared to the United States, we're only in around 10%.
So England
is infested.
Is infested.
Absolutely.
I need to know that.
England's infested.
Hotels and everything.
Absolutely, and in fact, in England, you don't know about it because they have learned to live with these creatures. We're only, like I said, we're a lot lower. We're less infested, so we don't adapt as well as some people in Europe do.
How do you live with them?
Well,
how do they do this?
That's a good question. The bed bugs actually bite you at certain times, obviously.
They do bite you, yeah.
But unless you're allergic to them, you never know that they bite. And probably about 30% of people are not allergic to them. So that's why you'll see in some households, somebody will say, well, we had bed bug bites all over us, but, this person had none. That person had them, but they just were not allergic to them.
Oh my goodness.
And actually what the bed bug does is it actually puts an anesthetic into you right before it bites you. And you never know what happens. The perfect hunter.
It's
a perfect hunter.
Anesthetizes you before he bites you.
That's what he does.
Whew.
And again, they hunt us.
I have to shake your hand. Thank you so much for this. This is such good information. Are you learning something about bed bugs?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Very intelligent bug. I mean, people don't think of bugs as being intelligent.
Oh, I
but
do.
If you look
My God.
If you look at insects in general, for instance, if you look at the mosquito, which we're going to be discussing later, they might live for 2 weeks, 10 days. The mosquito, the bed bug lives for a year. And so when you think of evolution of an insect,
yes.
It lives off of our protein. And protein has been known to increase neural pathways in not only bugs but ourselves too. And so it has a collective intelligence. For instance, the bed bug will actually bite in shifts. In other words, if your home has bed bugs, half of the bed bug population in your home or in your house will bite you at 2 a.m. on Tuesday. The others will bite you at 2 a.m. on Wednesday.
So the ones that bit you on 2 a.m. on Tuesday.
Never the same bug.
It's
the next day.
Amazing. So they live off of the protein that's harvested from the blood.
That's right.
And they basically digest it
they
slowly,
digest it
and then they bite again on Thursday?
Absolutely.
They swing shift?
They use it for their larvae.
Okay.
To reproduce. There's a protein in it that they use for their larvae. And that's how they reproduce, basically.
How did you learn these things?
A lot of extensive research. Research is based on curiosity.
Yes.
Mainly.
Yes, yes.
And while most people will maybe watch football or do things, I'm studying bugs. So that's a lot of where the research came from. It's just very interesting that the bed bug, and I know we're going to talk about mosquitoes, but I have to make this connection. The bed bug and the mosquito actually had a common ancestor 30,000 years ago. So the mosquito and the bed bug are
cousins?
Well,
cousins?
Well, if you can say they're cousins in the same way we might be cousins of primates.
Okay.
Because we had a common ancestor, according to many people. But they had a common ancestor, and so many things in the environment that are hazardous to the health of a bed bug are hazardous to the health of a mosquito.
Huh.
Because, as I said, they had a common ancestor.
Right, exactly. Now, are they able, or have you even tested, because my background is biochemistry and I love lab research and stuff. Can they interbreed?
They cannot.
Okay, well that's comforting, because God knows I would not want a mosquito that has the attributes of a bed bug.
Genetically, they're different.
Okay.
But they had a common ancestor.
Okay, got you.
So that's kind of the way that happened.
So with the bed bug, because there was a flurry of awareness, I'll say, in where I lived, and people all of a sudden, this goes back maybe 7 years ago, people were clearing out nursing homes and any kind of mass human habitats where people lived and slept. They were clearing out apartment complexes. All of a sudden, the complex didn't have bed bugs, and then somebody moved in, and all of a sudden the place had bed bugs. Were the bed bugs there all along anyway?
No, somebody brought them in.
Somebody did bring them in.
Or something brought them in.
Okay, brought them in.
Keep in mind, one female bed bug can lay up to 500 eggs. and those bed bugs can live for 1 year off of a blood meal. So it may seem that maybe the bed bugs were killed in a particular location as a result of treatment, but in fact they've gone dormant off of that blood meal, and they're waiting to resurrect. And it can do that up to a year later. Absolutely.
So when you bring in, if I might ask, when you bring in sniffing dogs and exterminator specialists that spray and throw out mattresses, and is that just really a waste of resources?
Absolutely not. Those are great ways to eradicate and kill bed bugs, but it's very expensive for the average person. When you think of the fact that bed bugs can be anywhere, and it has nothing to do with your socioeconomic background. It has nothing to do with how clean your place is. Bed bugs can be in the White House. So if you think about the average person who has a budget, and then it's anywhere between $500 and $8,000 for a heat treatment or to eradicate with a company to spray. Most people don't have that kind of ability financially to do that, and so that's why you see a lot of people that are throwing away furniture and clothing and just beside themselves. I can tell you stories of people that have just very sad situations where people have just not knowing what to do.
Well, can a bed bug live in furniture? It's wood. It's not exactly like they can burrow.
Right. Right. Well, they actually can.
They can live in furniture.
It's a very, very small bug. It's a very small bug, and of course they can live in also the cloth part of furniture and that sort of thing. And as I said, the resiliency of a bed bug is the fact that it can live for a year off of one blood meal.
That is unbelievable.
Absolutely, and the way it hunts it actually smells your carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
And it moves in. It's a very lazy bug. It doesn't. I was asked, well, does it jump? Does it fly? No, it doesn't.
No,
it just sits and waits for you. That's why it lives for a year, because it doesn't use energy.
He's not using any energy.
No.
He's basically hibernating, would you say?
Just kind of sits around
and waits.
And waits, just waits for you. It smells you. It knows you're going to come. It knows you're going to come. It doesn't have to hunt. It doesn't have to do anything elaborate. It just waits for you to fall into its trap.
And then dinner. Amazing.
And you never know it hit, because it gives you an anesthetic ahead of time.
So you were interested, and this is such an amazing subject, and I'm not trying to be nerdy, although I am, because the bug house at the Cincinnati Zoo is amazing. And as a child, that's the only thing I wanted to see. I would stay in the bug house all day because bugs were fascinating to me in terms of their ability to survive and their intellect, because they're not stupid.
No.
At all.
No.
They're very focused.
Absolutely.
Very focused.
That's right.
But not stupid. But I never was predisposed to even look at bed bugs. So what got you into this?
Well, it's a very good question. I was in the Air Force.
Okay.
In the Air Force, the National Guards, stationed in Springfield. And during the Second Desert Storm, I was in charge of training troops to go over to the Second Desert Storm, because we were sending National Guards men first and reserve, because it's easier to do that. And so we would go to different bases to train, and sometimes they would have bed bugs. And we would be concerned.
Military.
Absolutely. And we'd be concerned about bringing those back to not only our base but home. And so we developed a rudimentary spray that was designed not so much to go in and eradicate huge bases and facilities with bed bugs, but to protect ourselves. In other words, it was designed to spray on our clothing, and when you go into a bed bug infested place, the bed bugs would not smell you as they have a very keen sense of smell, carbon
Okay.
dioxide.
Okay.
And they wouldn't be attracted to you. Remember, they hunt you based on your scent.
Scent,
And
yes.
so this sort of forms a barrier around you in the same way that a skunk forms a barrier around itself so that you don't hunt it. A skunk is very good meat, but why don't we mess with a skunk? Well, that's the same reason. That's the same kind of analogy that you would use with this particular spray. And then you would spray it when you leave, and not only does it kill the bed bug on contact in case some of them get on you, but it also repels them away and also kills their larvae.
Kills their larvae
kills
too.
their larvae.
So it had a military purpose initially.
Yeah, to help the troops.
No, that's very good because the military actually, in my opinion, has some of the most cutting edge research out here.
Right, right. I just want to make sure you understand it wasn't a military finance project.
I understand that.
It was just based on our particular troops that we didn't want to be in that situation. And so out of that, of course, we had a rudimentary formula, which was probably not commercial grade. And I'm a registered nurse, so the application worked well for nurses that were going in and out of homes, for instance, home health. And so, of course, we had to make it so that it was of the type of grade that not only was safe for the nurses, but also safe for patients. And so we also had to make in other words, we had to make it retail grade.
Right.
So that's what we've been doing for the last few years, is just making it to bringing it to a place where it could be used for retail and also throughout the industry, healthcare mainly, but other industries as well.
Oh, I can
police
see
officer,
crossover.
firemen.
Yeah, I mean, I can see potential in most industries
absolutely.
because those little critters. I mean, hotel, motel, the hospitality industry. I mean, do they hover in restaurants?
Bed bugs are anywhere that we are, because remember they hunt us.
They hunt us.
Right. So if they are able to, if they find that they can get a blood meal, then they will be there. Theaters are a place that, in fact, I don't go anywhere without protection, especially to a movie theater. Because what a waste of time. You go see your favorite movie and
you come out with critters. I was just thinking, and not to give you a plug, but I have 2 of your formulas, and I didn't know the use, but I know that I went to a very high-end home, a friend of mine in New York City, and I was bitten throughout the night, and I'm saying to my subconscious, I cannot be getting bitten in this woman's gorgeous home. And those things were tearing me up. So when I woke up I'd never ever had a bed bug bite, but they sting. And I was covered with them. And I did not go back the second night. I told her, that's okay, I need some other friends to visit, and it's been wonderful. But as a result, I've always been antennas up on hotels and bring my own sheets.
Right.
I'm serious. I bring my own sheets to hotels because I don't know what the heck is going to happen. Not that it matters. I guess they can go through my sheets too. I mean, the fact that
they're hunting you.
They're hunting me.
So.
So I sprayed that
whatever
stuff.
it takes to hunt you, they'll do.
They'll do.
Right, exactly. They're hunting you.
They're hunting me.
They're hunting
you. And the only way they can find you is because we do emit CO2, carbon dioxide.
Absolutely.
All humans do.
Absolutely.
Animals do too.
Absolutely.
Do they eat animals too?
They're not. Animals aren't their main diet, and there's several reasons for that. They don't want to have to work through the fur.
Oh God,
that's
fur.
one thing. The other thing, if you think of an animal, it's more of kind of an animal's more like we were 30,000 years ago, hunter-gatherers, where they have to be. They don't really fit into the realm of how a bed bug hunts. In other words,
because they're moving around.
Right.
And we're not.
We're not.
Got it. My goodness. But I was just wanted to tell you that I've been using your spray. And I just cover myself, you know, and because those are the most horrible things. And now that you've told me that they are predatory.
Right.
They're not passive. They're predatory.
Absolutely. And Michelle, I'd like to add one thing.
Yeah.
With the Zika virus and the mosquito, there's a lot have been said about how deadly the mosquito is, and it is true. The mosquito is the most deadly creature on this earth.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
When you look at malaria and some of the other diseases that has caused, there's no other creature has caused as much death and devastation as the mosquito. Now, we look at bed bugs. Bed bugs, as I mentioned, had a common ancestor.
Okay.
We don't think of the bed bug as causing disease. And again, I like to preface this by saying there's really no evidence out there, but just from a common sense standpoint, you have to wonder whether or not, and I think there has been studies out there to show, not large studies to show that bed bugs have the propensity to cause disease. So
I would think intuitively at the point you have a bug who is laid anywhere, piercing your skin. He's penetrating that epidermal layer, piercing your skin, sucking out blood, which means he has to put, and he's anesthetizing you, then he sucks blood. That is a formula for disease.
That's right. And most people, and when you think about who studies disease processes and things in America, there's a reason that they do that. There hasn't really been a reason to study bed bugs at a large scale, any large scale studies, because why? Because they were eradicated up until recently.
Right, but they're back.
They're back, and so it takes time to get funding together to do these kind of studies.
Right, and then for what benefit and how many people are impacted on it. But the reality is that they are everywhere.
That's right.
And how many times does she have 500 babies? Is that over her life, the 1 year life she has? Or
no, that's over her lifetime.
Okay, she drops 500. So if there are 50 female bed bugs in your bed, that is...
500,000?
500,000.
Is that right? I'm not sure if my math is right.
That's too many. You're making me itch. Let's shift. Let's talk about, so you got this bed bug formula that you feel, based upon application, works.
For the mosquitoes or the bed bugs?
Well, we're going to talk about the mosquitoes in a minute, but I want to finish up this thing about the bed bugs.
Okay.
So how does it work?
Okay. Basically, what the formula does is it actually acts on the exoskeleton of the bed bug. The exoskeleton of a bed bug, and any creature that has an exoskeleton, has a waxy buildup, similar to the earwax that we have in our ears. It's the same wax, almost identical. And so what that is a protective covering that protects that bug from the environment, such as they're very susceptible to dehydration. And just things in the gut in our environment. And so what this product does is it actually disintegrates the waxy buildup.
Oh, and then they're done. My goodness. So do they use their feet does it go through their feet as they're crawling?
No, it actually, we use a spray.
Okay.
And it's a contact spray.
Okay.
And so the contact spray, it kills the mosquito, the bed bug on contact, and then repels it and kills the larva.
So if it's infested in your mattress, because you can't see them, they are inside, resting, I guess. How does the product, because of it being a liquid, it permeates the mattress?
Well, let me just say, Michelle, that we're in a certain niche in this, that we don't we don't profess to eradicate whole houses and that sort of thing from bed bugs. So if you have bed bugs in your mattress, or if you had bed bugs infested in your couch, that would be something that you would maybe call and exterminate. What we provide is a product that will prevent you, so that you go into a place that's bed bug infested, you don't bring it home with you. Because as I said earlier, that's what we had an issue with in the military. We had an issue with bringing them back with us. So we needed to.
And everybody else out here running around.
Right. So as I said, they're not going to concern themselves, bed bugs are not going to concern themselves about how clean your place is. Or they're going to concern themselves with, can they hunt you? So if you're walking into a place that's bed bug infested, say you're going over to somebody's house for Thanksgiving, and they have bed bugs in their mattress or in their couch, it's going to protect you. It's going to keep you. It's going to keep that one bed bug from coming back to your house and setting up shop. So does the bed bug spray kill bed bugs on contact? Absolutely. But the sizes that we offer are a 3.3 ounce bottle as well as a 16 ounce. And that's really not, we don't sell it in a way that it's going to eradicate your whole home, because that's, again,
right,
this is designed
right, that's not
for,
your niche.
Right.
Right.
And that's, and our patent covers protection of you.
Okay.
And it's eco-friendly as a result of that. That's the whole reason why it's eco-friendly.
It is eco-friendly, so there are no toxic chemicals
There's no
in
toxic
the formulation?
No.
That's excellent, excellent.
Right.
So no allergic reactions from your trials?
No, we use all natural chemicals. And again, there are many chemicals in our environment that are safe for us and are deadly for smaller creatures. Everything and you know this as a biology person, that everything is dose dependent.
Yes, it is.
So in other words, if you can't take the same dose of Tylenol, say, as a child could, I mean, or a child couldn't take the same dose as you could. So everything is dose. So imagine shrinking something to this, 1,000 times our size. You can take chemicals that we use every day, and it would be deadly for a creature that size. So it's eco-friendly for us, but deadly for them.
Okay, well that's fine. I'm not too worried about their world, because they surely aren't concerned about mine.
Right.
So that is so. So let me see. I know that you didn't. I'm not endorsing, but I want you to at least pull up that bed bug thing.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing here. Yeah.
Right.
This is what. Now, was I right to just spray it on me?
Yeah, so what you would do, Michelle, is you spray it on yourself, paying attention to where you're going to be walking, for instance, your shoes, and just all over. And it's going to form a barrier of protection around you.
Okay, do I have to spray it on my clothing or on me?
On your clothing.
Okay,
on
not
your clothing,
me.
Not me, not you, your
Okay.
clothing. It's going to form a barrier protection around you. Then when you go into a place, it's going to repel them, and then when you leave, you're going to spray it on yourself again. And you're also, for instance, if you carry your purse with you, you're going to carry that with you. You're going to spray your purse as well. If you set it down,
as well?
Yeah, because you don't want, they're going to burrow in your purse as well. So you keep that with you. Excuse me. You're going to keep that with you, and anywhere you go,
I carry
you'll be bed bug free wherever you go.
I carry. We'll put that back, and let's shift back to. I did not know about spraying my purse, and I actually sprayed me. I guess, at the point it was non-toxic, I just sprayed me.
Absolutely.
And if they got to me, they were going to have a bad day. I don't know what it's going to feel like. But that's interesting. But let's shift, because I wanted you to also talk about mosquitoes and this emerging, and I hope they're able to quash it, but mosquitoes are extremely resilient bugs. And I wanted you to talk about the Zika.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you more about how this is formulated.
Okay.
So as we developed this spray and the application for bed bugs, we realized that it was also deterring mosquitoes. And
Huh.
I mean, it was, you know, we'd spray it and there'd be nowhere around. So
So they didn't even get a chance to light.
no, you would spray it, you know, spray it on yourself or spray it around, and you would never see them anymore. So we did more research
Okay.
to find out why this was happening.
Okay.
And so then we came up with the mosquito spray as well, mosquito eliminator, formulated in the same way, except it has one key ingredient in it that is used to actually the main thing is it does is it kills the larva of the mosquito. And when we talk about the Aedes aegypti, which is the mosquito that causes that's responsible for the Zika spread of the Zika virus.
Is that a
that's-
specific mosquito?
It is. It is. It is a mosquito, and the reason why there are other mosquito populations that
yes.
that have that can carry the Zika, but the significance of the Aedes aegypti is that its lifestyle is a little different than most mosquitoes. In other words, it sort of, in a way, resembles the bed bug in that it likes to be around us.
Oh my
In
God.
other words, if you think of a night when you're out at, you say a picnic or
Yeah,
something, at dusk or dawn,
Yeah, yeah.
near a pond is where you get bitten by mosquitoes, and you come back and you've got mosquito bites. Well, the Aedes aegypti tends to come in homes, and it can set up
Oh.
shop in very small, collective water collects. It can be in a bottle cap, it can be anywhere, and so it can be actually in your home. And so that's unprecedented that's
It
unusual
likes
for most
to
mosquitoes.
be in your home.
Right, sort of resembles a bed bug in a way.
Yes, and the reason being is for safety. I'm just looking at the evolutionary cycle.
Why this
Why would-
particular
right.
mosquito? It has to do with the adaptation of that particular mosquito. It just has to do with that adaptation of that mosquito. But we don't know exactly why.
Why
we
he
do
wants
know
to come
we do
in.
know that particular mosquito likes to be around us. So it may be the way it hunts. Mosquitoes hunt in the same way that bed bugs do, in a sense, but because of the aerodynamicness of a mosquito, in other words.
That means they fly, viewers.
Right, sorry. Because they're very
Scientists
aerodynamic.
are scientists. We cannot be talking like this. They fly, people. They like to be around you, okay?
Right. They have a
Okay.
very aerodynamic nature. Their body style is very aerodynamic. They go by heat sensor as much
Huh.
as carbon dioxide.
So,
And
because the human body is
Emits
warm
heat, right.
and we emit heat.
Right. So
Okay.
so that's where we're at with that. And so the product that we developed not only repels it protects you in three ways. It protects you because it is a larvicide. In other
Okay.
words, it kills the larva of the mosquito. It is an adulticide, which means it kills the adult, the teenager. It's female mosquito teenage. Female teenagers are what bite you. The males don't bite you. It's
The males don't bite
No,
you.
it's female teenagers, teenager females that bite you. It's those little millennials that
yes,
bite you.
here she is.
Those
Okay.
are the ones that
Okay,
cause
and the males are like,
no, they're like whatever. They're like, go ahead, go ahead,
Go
bite.
ahead, go ahead,
So
bite.
teenager females,
Yeah,
they're the
teenager.
ones who are biting you.
Yes.
So it kills
Aggressive
those.
little critters.
Yes,
Yes.
it kills those, and also as a repellent. So it does three things. It's a larvicide, adulticide, and a repellent.
Okay. So it
Hallmark.
actually repels. So may I ask, as just not to digress, but what does a male mosquito do other than he impregnates females?
Well, that's interesting. The mosquito doesn't bite you to eat your blood. It bites you because it needs a particular protein. The female, teenager female, bites you because it needs, again, that protein for its larva. And so
Okay.
actually a mosquito eats pretty much the same thing as a bee. They eat, things, sweet things. They like they live off of. They're mainly they're not carnivores. They're herbivores.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. So
so
they
they're
like
Yes.
flowers and the little the tentacles the flowers have.
Right.
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 Okay. So
Right.
they hover around. I did not know that.
Right. So they're not. When you see a huge mosquito floating around, most likely that's an old gentleman, and he doesn't care about you.
He's not
You're not a plant.
Okay. Got it. That is so fascinating.
But it's those female
It's those female
teenagers.
teenagers, critters, sprayer.
Right.
Can mosquitoes, being of different genealogies, but same species, can they inbreed?
They can, as a matter
I
of
was
fact.
thinking they can.
They can. As a matter of fact, I think there is a development of a mosquito that actually is designed to combat the Zika virus by way of inbreeding with the. They've genetically created a mosquito to inbreed with Aedes aegypti and render it
Impotent,
impotent,
infertile.
right.
Yeah. Wow. Now
Now
that
that-
is interesting.
But you run into some environmental
I was gonna say.
concerns with that because the mosquito it does have a place in society for us. I mean, when you look at some of the things, the mosquito is actually food for instance, for frogs. So,
You're
what kind
right.
of environment?
Frogs do like mosquitoes.
Right. So there is a there is a cause and effect for certain things, and so do you want to do something genetically cause our environment, alter our environment? Is a question that I think the folks in Florida are asking themselves before they go ahead on this full-scale genetic route.
Well, I think you bring an excellent observation, and it just seems to me because as a naturalist and an herbalist and a biochemist, I'm sensitive to balance. And we've tinkered too much without an understanding. Science gone crazy, but I think most scientists are incredibly responsible people and don't want to create imbalance. But where did this mosquito come from, and why are we just finding this out?
Right. Well, let me just talk about the lifestyle of a mosquito.
Okay.
Most mosquitoes live between 10 days and 2 weeks.
Oh, that's fast.
And they usually don't ever go more than 1.5 miles from their nesting place.
Okay.
So when you think about the question of where they come from, they are not indigenous to North America.
Okay.
They're more indigenous to South America, and so that is one of the reasons why that has health officials from the CDC perplexed, because this mosquito doesn't generally travel very far from its nesting place, and so for a while that's why the CDC was telling us that we don't have to worry about it too much in the United States, because what we have to worry more about is the mosquito infecting a human and that human traveling to North America and bringing it and that still remains to be a problem. But because the mosquito, as I said, the Aedes aegypti is sort of like the bed bug. You know,
Oh yeah, he's
it
laid
stays
back.
with you. It stays with us, and so that is something that I think the CDC is not prepared for. And this mosquito is traveling close to people and
Because he likes it.
yeah, and he's traveling in whatever, and that's how they're coming to North America.
This is perplexing to me because, again, this particular mosquito has been in South America, and I have to conclude for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
So why is it now receiving preeminence? I mean, it's always been there.
Again, we're the planet's becoming a smaller place.
Okay.
And again, South America is actually particularly in Brazil, has undergone a economic boom.
Yes, it has.
And so as a result of that, you have more people going there, whether it be investing in businesses, or, and then of course we have the Olympics. And so, so you see a lot of that as a result. You see a lot of that, you know, that disease process of the mosquito being moved around as a result of those things.
Now, if a person is bitten by this mosquito and he comes to the United States, is he a carrier, or he or she just contracts it and gets sick and gets better or dies? Is that how that works?
I think it must be said that there's not a lot of research out there yet. And so obviously we have to follow the guidelines of the CDC because really that's the only research out there. But I think that we all have to take a common sense approach as well.
Okay.
And understand that, for instance, if you're a female of you know, that is at the age to bear children, then you have to really think about traveling to areas that that these cases have been found. Generally speaking, it is not known that the Zika virus affects somebody other than somebody who's an unborn or a child.
Childbearing age. Okay.
But again, I stress, we don't know.
And that's what makes me uncomfortable on so many levels, because I'm not sure if this aggressive female bites me and it goes into my blood system. And just by example, I have a weak immune system. Will I get sick, or will I sneeze and pass it on to someone else? How does this become a problem?
Well, certainly if you have a weaker immune system, you're more susceptible to not just Zika, but any disease that you know.
Correct.
But the Zika virus is known to attack the nervous system.
Ooh,
And so most neurotoxic type diseases generally are not as transferable. I'm not saying that it's not, we just don't have enough information, but take comfort in knowing that.
Can the live mosquito transport into another country? The live one? Can she ride the train, so to speak?
Well, as I said, the mosquito.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think so, because as I
You
said,
kidding
because
me?
like I said, the
Jeez.
mosquito won't ever go more than a mile or two from its nesting place.
So she would ride your coat?
They like us.
They like us, so she
Aedes
got-
aegypti seems to have a propensity to like to be around us.
People.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And so that's undoubtedly how it's being transported.
Okay, because for the life of me, if this thing is being transported alive, either in a nook on your dress or pants, or and not biting you, just riding.
Well, I would say that I'd say that, but I think more research. I don't know that the research is going in the right direction. I know that Florida, the governor of Florida, asked for more money to help combat that, and I know President Obama is trying to get it through Congress and everything. I can't
And it's
stress
a fight
more.
because they don't understand.
Absolutely, I can't
They don't
stress
understand.
more how important that is, because understanding this menace is the biggest, it forms the foundation for combating it. And I can say that the mosquito is not a hard creature to figure out and combat if you understand it, and if you take the proper steps to protect us.
Right.
And I don't know that there's enough money going in investigation. I think there's just not enough known about how to do that.
Well, I will tell you, I am not optimistic given the mindset of the current Congress that they are going to allocate the necessary funds to do the research to combat this. In the meantime, though, we can protect ourselves with that spray. And you can take it to picnics, and you can take it anywhere
Absolutely.
you want to take it.
Absolutely.
You just spray. Now, is it safe for children?
I'm glad you asked that. This is safe for children. It is eco-friendly, and as I said, it has a very powerful neurotoxic effect on the larva. It's a larvicide, adulticide, and a repellent.
Okay.
Now, SC Johnson, who is the maker of most of your repellents and sprays such as Raid and Off. They have said that DEET is safe. The thing about DEET, Michelle, is that DEET was synthesized after World War II and was actually derived from the same chemicals that Hitler used to gas the Jews. And so after the Nuremberg trials, collectively the world decided that there will be no more human testing as a result of what Hitler did.
Right,
and so we haven't had human testing on DEET in 80 years. So we don't know whether it's a carcinogen or not. Now we talk about the EPA. EPA has said it's safe. The EPA does no testing.
Oh, God. So how do they validate?
Well, because the EPA tests based on a problem.
Okay.
So in other words, if nobody complains about anything, the EPA is not going to do anything.
Okay.
They take care of, they sort of put out fires.
Okay.
When there's a problem, they come and put out the
Okay,
fire. But they
right.
don't do testing prior to putting something on the market. SC Johnson, who is the maker of Off and Raid, are the only ones doing the testing. So think about this.
Well,
you have the
that's
company who has a vested interest
Right.
in making sure that this product stays on the market.
Right. Right.
Why would they
Test it.
And so recently, SC Johnson sued the EPA.
They sued the
They sued the EPA because the EPA is going back into the fact that they want independent human testing now, which is right. That's what's right for
proper.
us.
That is proper.
But SC Johnson has sued them because they said that human testing would cause undue hardship on their company and it would cause them to reveal their ingredients and that sort of thing.
Which are killing us and our children.
So I want people to keep that in mind when you're thinking of DEET. And that.
Oh, I don't believe in, I mean, I'm not naive about, well, of course, that's industry training, scientific training. But I do appreciate the fact that you have formulated a product that is safe for children as well. Children do not need to have neurological diseases. And that stuff will definitely do it. I don't care what anybody says. Once you know the history, that's not going to work. But our time is winding up. I need you to give them your phone number.
Wonderful. My number is 1-866-891-5338. That's 1-866-891-5338. Website is acehealthyproducts.com. And as I said,
Say it again.
That's acehealthyproducts.com. And we have the 3.3 ounce bottle, as I said, as well as the 16 ounce.
Okay.
The 3.3 ounce bottle fits FAA guidelines. And we're speaking to the bed bug as well as the mosquito. And so you can carry it on a plane.
Because I'm going to take some to Florida.
You can take it on a cruise with you. My wife and I took it on a cruise with us.
Did you?
To Brazil.
Okay.
Actually, we went to Cancun.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
we don't want to get into cruise ships. I'm just wondering what that's about. But that's okay. This is great. Well, I'm going to, you can't zoom in on me. I want to wrap up today's segment of The Power of Money, where my guest was Mr. Watson, who is the CEO of a eco-friendly company that specializes in bed bugs and mosquitoes. And my God, you now know that bed bugs are predatory and that they're looking for you. And that young teenager females, and all of us who've raised girls know this is the truth. They are predatory and looking for you too. So I encourage you to give him a call. I'm serious. I'm not doing a paid endorsement. I'm just telling you I got the products, and like a lot of stuff I get, I said, I'll see. But it worked. It did. And so, which is why I invited him to come on to the show. Again, it's all about health, It's about information. It's about being empowered for you and your family to get through these difficult times. And of course, 30,000 years these critters have been running around, but now they've zoomed in on us. So you need to take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, kiss those children. As always, I wish you peace, I send you love, and I pray for your joy. God bless you. I'll see you next time. I'm Michelle Graves. You take care. Excellent.